comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me, as always, is Ben Slinger.
Hello, hello. How's it going?
Hello. It's going well.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to our audience.
Our audience. Okay, audience, how are
to...
you going? We'll give you a second.
Perfect. Good to hear that.
Perfect.
Or sorry to hear that.
That's very good to hear.
I'm sure things will get better soon.
It's very good to hear about your grandmother. I just heard the one who said that their grandmother is better and has gotten better from cancer.
I was wondering.
That was awesome.
I was wondering about that. That's awesome. I'm really pleased to hear that. I've got a game.
Okay, so we're not even gonna.
Nah, that's it. I'm just jumping in because we've got to get this thing going.
Okay.
I have been thinking a bit, getting back into game development a bit, and
which is rare. It's rare that we come out of Global Game Jam and then you think, I'm going to build a game.
Well, I mean, I think it's been long enough. It's, it's coming up on, well, it's been more than a month. So
yeah,
I've had that downtime. But I've been thinking, because for a while I've been doing Unreal Engine, which is great. I love Unreal Engine, but there's so much there that I don't know. That sometimes in the very little time that I actually have to do game development, it gets very overwhelming. So I thought, look, maybe I go back to 2D.
Cool.
And then
I like 2D.
So I'm thinking of learning Godot because fuck Unity, and also it's something new. And then I wanted to make it difficult for myself again. So I thought, why don't I try to implement some storylets?
Fantastic.
So
we're going to spend this whole episode writing storylets.
Yeah, that's gonna be the episode. No, so what else? The thought process I went through is, okay, 2D game with some storylets, but I don't want it to just be like a like visual novel style or like, I want some of what we've talked about in the past, which is where the storylets drive some other gameplay, and then the outcome of that gameplay alters the state, which then affects what storylets come up. So cool. I had a few ideas for what sort of simple gameplay I could do. And what I landed on, potentially, is a dentist game.
Okay,
which
cool.
makes sense for this podcast.
It does. So,
but
is it kind of like Dungeon Keeper in the way that you're playing, like, the bad guy and...
Oh, I see. I thought you were thinking, am I making a dental dungeon?
No.
Which, leads into the dental dam.
Okay, yep.
No,
just put an image in my mind.
Potentially, I think here's where I was coming at it from. I want somewhat relatively simple 2D gameplay with a fun enough loop to it, with some aspects that the storylets can then affect, that based on a particular storylet, it might bring a little wrinkle into the gameplay in some way. So, I mean, I haven't really figured out what that is. It's probably about, drilling teeth, pulling teeth, doing something along those lines.
Yep.
And I think with the outcomes and where the potential evil aspect of it comes in, and where this could be fun with the storylets, is based on how you get a sort of skill level that you have achieved for what you've done, but there's also a pain level. Like, you can do it really well.
I was thinking,
but not anesthetize or whatever,
You need that pain level because that's what gets your dentist off, isn't it?
I mean, potentially, if that's who you want to play, and if that's the way you want to push the story. So I thought we could riff on, how the storylets could work and affect the gameplay, and what the gameplay itself could be, and whether we have any fun ideas for that.
So I think one of the storylets is definitely about, like, the different types of things that can go wrong with the teeth.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start for sure.
You've got, your simple fillings, simple cleanings for early sort of stuff. Then you've got someone who needs, teeth to be moved around. So therefore you're installing braces and all this sort of stuff. And then,
yeah, well, I think what could be interesting as well is
teeth extractions. You got root canals. You've got,
I mean, putting in false teeth, putting in vampire teeth,
Yep.
Putting in gold
Crowns.
teeth, putting in the nice grill.
Yep.
And I mean, you can go silly with it too.
I mean, grills and braces, they're very, very similar.
Yeah, don't get them mixed up though. They won't be happy, but you still might get good skill points for how well you installed them. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you didn't spill too much glue onto the gums. You're gonna be better.
Yeah, they can still open their mouth afterwards.
Yes,
then that's a plus.
Their teeth aren't glued together. That's also a plus.
That helps. So yeah, I mean, I want to keep it as fairly simple gameplay. So I'm thinking either. Maybe similar to what we've talked about. I think maybe this was for the last Global Game Jam with Roots, where we thought about doing some dentist stuff like flip top head, potentially, or just a sort of, you've got the top and the bottom row of teeth on the screen at the same time from the top, like sort of from a top point of view almost, or like looking into the mouth, something like that. Could be cool.
Do you want it from looking? Outside of the mouth.
Outside of the mouth. Maybe. I don't know how good my perspective drawing is to really make that look good with the dentist, the dentist leaning in and you're just doing it from the inside. But it could be cool though. Directing the mirror, directing the...
What you need to do is like put a blur from behind, so it doesn't matter about the dentist. They're all blurry, and it's like the drill is in focus.
Is in focus in the mouth. Yeah, that could be cool. Actually, that's interesting. I think what you said earlier about they come in with different ailments, different things that you have to solve. I think also diagnosing them could be some interesting thing as well, so that you can potentially miss it, right? Mm-hmm. And that can be a storylet thing. Like if they come in with, they need a cleaning, but there's a filling hidden in there, or like a cavity hidden in there that you miss, great. Put that into your little state for that character. They've got a filling that was missed. Now there's a storylet that could come back later
with like an abscess or something like that.
Exactly, right? And yeah, I think
cracked teeth and
there's a
fillings that have actually been pulled out and all this sort of stuff and wisdom teeth.
Filling came out and there's just a giant like piece of toffee in there or something. You have to extract. So I think there's a lot of potential there. I think that's fun, and then I think there's a level between that as well, where there is a bit of obviously narrative stuff that comes from the storylet, where it's like maybe as they show up to the front desk or whatever, you get to see the person, you have a little bit of information about them or dialogue going back and forth, and then obviously based on how well you do, that brings up the next storylet for when someone leaves, and here's the sort of states that could have come from that what's just happened. Then that it gives you that really dynamic sense to be able to have a lot of options for it to feel in context and to feel natural, and have these people who come back time after time. You've got your regulars, different stories that can generate then from that. Yeah,
love it. Okay, so you're saying 2D. What graphical style are we talking?
Look, I think I'm probably going to go relatively low res, just because that's going to be better for my skill level. Mm-hmm. And when I say low res, I mean, if you're getting a good view of the mouth and it's taking up most of the screen, then, each tooth is maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 pixels across or something, whatever that ends up being. I don't know. It's not going to be an anatomically correct necessarily mouth. Like it's not going to maybe have all freaking 26 teeth or whatever if that doesn't work for that. But there's a lot of experimentation and stuff to be done there. But I was kind of thinking.
Just think about, you need like the 4 at the front and then the 2 eye teeth. And then it doesn't matter how many molars. Like, no, you don't need to worry about
at least
molars.
A couple, but they don't have to add up.
Yeah. This person's got 33 teeth. How the fuck did that happen?
73 teeth. Yeah, I mean, I've been inspired a little bit by Balatro, which I've been playing a hell of a lot of.
You've been playing a hell of a lot of that.
But that has a very interesting sort of floaty retro pixel kind of style to it, but still with some really nice art and stuff. I don't know that I'd go that full floaty feeling, but a little bit of that surrealism almost. Like, there's something about that style of 2D game with, you know, the faces are going to look a bit wonky and there's, you know, it's a dentist office. So having some weird, cheesy, you know, 8-bit music going on in the background will feel like it's in universe. It works, but then it will also just give you that really unsettling feeling of this is a little bit off. Which is what you want from a game about being in a dentist office.
Yeah. I do like the idea of being able to play around and get to know some of your patients, and if you totally fuck up someone's grill, you know, that you may not get them back until like,
well, and there can be other
there's an emergency, and you may be the only one who's got appointments available because you've ruined everyone else's mouth, but like, I mean, you're the only dentist who's available.
There can be other non-dental stuff that can happen too when people come in, right? Like, that's the beauty of storylets and the beauty of this sort of narrative is maybe you do fuck up someone's grill and then, you know, 25 patients later, they come back and they're suing you for malpractice or something, and you're not going to work on them, but you've got maybe some choices you can make, or it's just a little narrative thing that's going to pop up here and there. Maybe you lose some money later. Maybe you have to start paying off a payment plan for the, you know, whatever.
Maybe you hit them in the head with a hammer and now you've got them tied up in your basement. And
that's it. Maybe
the cops have come around looking for them. And
again,
you know,
the beauty of storylets is at any point you could throw in a nice little sequence of storylets that all lead on from each other that don't necessarily play one after the other, but will just pop back after, you know, an interesting amount of time.
Oh no! Now the forensic investigator is here checking out, and he's found some blood, you know, that you didn't clean up in the carpet. Like, he pulled back the carpet a little bit, and it's like it's under the carpet. Like,
that's it. But that can only happen if you've had enough really painful or poorly performed surgeries or something.
Oh no, I was still going from the fact that you hit that guy in the head with a hammer, and
potentially,
and you killed him, and he's buried under the back porch now, and you now have to deal with.
But if you hired a really good janitor, though, maybe that like means that could go differently.
Yes, maybe if you didn't skimp out on that and pay them $5 an hour, and expect them to, you know, survive on tips. Are we talking about American minimum wage now?
They survive on teeth that they find and sell.
Well, they sell
black
the
market.
Tooth Fairy, of course.
And the Tooth Fairy is a whole other set of storylets that I could bring in there.
It's literally a guy that you hire. It's literally a guy that you hire to go out and steal teeth. And then you can sell it to the real Tooth Fairy, which is actually a thing.
There's definitely a like UI element of how many teeth you have that you've taken. That for most of the game is completely unused. You don't know why it's tracking that.
It's very much, you know, how in Australia now in Victoria now you can put your cans in to get like your 10 cents back. The Tooth Fairy have set up like a similar thing for dentists, in which you can take along all your teeth that you've been extracting, and they get weighed, and then you get, you know, you get money back on it.
You get money back.
But it also means that, you know, you get more money for adult teeth.
Oh yeah. It's by weight.
It's by weight. So healthy teeth have more weight to them. Or teeth that have got lots and lots of...
if you've drilled them less.
If you've drilled them more, but you've put more filling stuff in, they're actually technically heavier.
Oh, but if you do that too much, then they'll catch on that you're scamming them for the deposit.
Yeah. There's too much lead in this.
I do really love the idea of a teeth counter that it's not explained for a good chunk of the game, and you're just playing and you're going through customer after customer, and then once it reaches 100 or whatever, that opens
Ka-ching.
up. Well,
It's
no,
like-
I think that opens up again, just in the fashion of storylets. Now it's possible that you'll get the storylets that start leading you down that path of, oh, you can sell these. Like there's a system in place.
You've just been keeping them in a jar,
Yeah,
for
totally.
the time that the tooth mafia finally come and
The
knock on your door.
mafia. The gob.
They
call
come
them
and
the
knock on
gob.
your door, and
They
then
call them
they
the gob.
Yeah.
It's like the mob, but they're the gob.
yeah, they're the cop. Yeah,
not
it's
a
all about a
gob.
mouth. That's kind of cool. I like that. I do like storylets there.
Yeah, I've got some ideas for implementation. I'm probably going to start on that first. I probably won't get that far with it and will drop it after 3 weeks and get bored, but hopefully not.
Uh-huh.
But either way, it's a fun idea to riff on. And there's the first half of our episode. Let's play Click Pitch.
Yeah, so Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us, where we each get a single word, and they're both nouns, at common complexity, because we've had some issues with average, and we take these words and we throw them at each other and come up with a game design. These are basically just prompts. We don't have to use both words. We don't even have to use a word.
Yeah. You're not
It's a
our
jumping off
mum.
point.
Don't tell us what to do.
Yeah.
Unless you are
We've
my
got Click
mum.
Pitch at home,
In fact,
and it looks like this. 3, 2, 1, click.
Bell.
Size.
Oh, bell. Okay. So is this a big bell or a small bell?
Well, I like the idea. You said bell, and I'm like size, and I'm like, well, the Liberty Bell is fucking huge.
Mm-hmm.
But what if the town next door make a bigger bell, so they're the ones
bell,
who,
so they have more liberty.
and then it's
the bell.
like these
It's an
two.
arms race.
It's basically these two towns that are in this size race, and they're trying to be they're trying to be, known for the biggest whatever this is. It doesn't have to be a bell. We can actually just go to.
Oh, I mean, a bell's fine. And what I was thinking with the bell is that this could almost be just like a narrative kicking off point, because I love the idea of a game, adventure game, or however you do it. And as you're walking around, just now and then this fucking bell will ring and just reverberate the entire screen.
Yeah.
Everyone stumbles. Like, this is the point they're at already.
Yeah.
And then the gist of the game is revolving around, oh, but the town next door has just built an even bigger one. And sometimes you hear that one. It's fainter, but the fact you can hear it is indicative of how big it is, because they're pretty far away.
For some reason, I want this to also be a Romeo and Juliet of two star-crossed lovers, of one person from one town,
bell-crossed lovers.
Two bell-crossed lovers, yes. One from one town, one from another. It doesn't even need to be, based on Romeo and Juliet.
No.
It's just
Shakespeare
two lovers.
doesn't have a monopoly on love that is
bell-crossed.
bell-crossed. Forbidden love.
Forbidden love.
So there's this guy, Bromeo.
There's this guy, Broden.
And Belliet. No. Yeah, okay. So there's these bells. Is this like, what's the impetus? I mean, obviously there's just outdoing your fellow neighbor, but I feel like you discover some other thing that's going on between like people high up in the town or people who make decisions where they've got a thing going on.
Yep.
I mean, I guess, and again, we don't have to do it exactly like Romeo and Juliet, but maybe it's like some of the powerful families in each town, like a powerful family in each town. who is, influencing the government or whatever to.
I mean, you know that these two that meet each other, they are literally the children of the bell designers in each of the towns.
Of course, yes.
That is
or at least of the patrons who are forcing these bells to be made. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the bell designers are just like, oh my God, we can't, like, it's becoming physically impossible.
The patrons of the bell, basically.
Yeah.
So I love the idea that, one of our lovers ends up in the other town doing a little bit of undercover work for their father.
Mm-hmm. The town
sees
the town of Dong, and they're from Ding.
Yes. And
they both renamed their towns.
Yes. Originally they were
originally it was like Chicago. It was Springfield and Shelbyville. No, yeah. Anyway, they were
Chicanery and Lilydale. That'll do. Cold Stream and Warm Stream.
Healesville and Hurstville.
Healesville and Hurtsville, maybe. So one's healing, one's hurting.
There you go.
Okay, cool. So I think the person from Hurtsville makes their way over to Healesville, and they're literally sneaking through, seeing the unveiling of this bell. And they're expecting, this moderately sized bell that is going to be bigger than their previous one, and it is fucking huge.
Yes. Or there's an interesting idea there where it's smaller, but when they ring it, it's like
louder.
10 times louder. It's like, what are we going for here? Like somehow they've used a different metal or something that their bell designers have invented.
It's a totally different shape.
Oh yeah, it's not even bell shaped. It's a gong.
Oh, and you know what? This other person that you meet, and fall in love with, they're also the designer.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's the whole thing of, they're obviously being brought into the bell business as well. They're a genius in bell making.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they both fall in love with each other. I'm being very careful not to say.
Not to gender. Yeah.
Not to genderize, because they don't need to be. They really don't.
No. Don't tenderize
it doesn't
that
matter.
Genderize.
You can just randomly choose these two people, and they just happen to be.
Yeah.
They happen to fall in love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think it's like a point and click adventure game from then.
Yeah, I could see a point and click.
More along the lines of like a Walking Dead style, not really picking up objects and using them, but more interactive storytelling,
Yeah, you're walking around environments, there's dialogue puzzles, there's maybe some action-y sort of scenes or whatever, light action, stealth, QTEs.
Yeah.
But it's mainly about the storytelling and the characters of the dialogue, for sure.
Yeah. And, I think kind of, what was the fucking game's name? Double Fine did it. Broken Age. Broken Age. Kind of like that, where you've got the two, you take control of the two characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
You control both characters, and
I like the idea then of starting with one and playing up until they meet the other person, but it doesn't show them. It doesn't show them. It shows their silhouette or something, or they're in the dark, and then you switch to the other. It's a camera on the person as they see them, and their eyes light up. Yeah, yeah.
And you think, oh, they've just seen the bell. But no, they saw the person.
Yeah, that's good. And then, you play the other person and play them up to that point. And then there's probably somewhere they're together, or, or they get torn apart
there's a
again.
Meet cute.
Yeah.
There's a meet cute. Something happens, and, they both realize that they like the sound of the bell on, the bicycle, and there's the whole bicycle puzzle.
Is the person from, I know, like
Hertzville
or whichever one, or Ding and Dong, or whichever we end up going, is one of them hate the bells? Like, is one of them like super against the bells because it's just torn their sounds apart? They hate the idea of it, and then they fall in love with the bell designer from the other town that is just like invented this bell, and a genius, a prodigy.
Well, what I love is they don't even realize that they are this much into the bells and all this sort of stuff. It's like their whole thing isn't bells. It's like they've got other things going on.
But then I like the idea that a bicycle bell strikes up some sort of conversation or some sort of reaction from one of them that starts to reveal these different feelings about what's going on with the towns, and reveals the fact that, we could never be together because, you I don't know why, but the bell that I hate and my family hates.
My brain has just gone to one of them gets sexual gratification from listening to bells.
Dun, 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 dun. That's their sex music.
Exactly. Dun, 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 oh God, 3, 2, 1, click. We can't come back from that.
Ding, dong.
That's literally how they end the whole thing.
The game.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, click.
Bending
challenge.
Ooh. So, I mean, for obvious reasons, my mind went straight to like Avatar bending. Because the live action series I've been watching, which is,
and 2 because Fortnite are about to have Avatar.
Fortnite are about to introduce Avatar stuff, so it is on the mind a little.
Whereas I went to Bender B. Rodriguez from Futurama, and I'm thinking, all the different angles that he can bend to.
Okay.
30 degrees, 32 degrees,
31. That's his favorite. Maybe we combine them. What if Bender was in the world of Avatar?
He's a metal bender.
I mean,
they look at him and he just literally bends the
he can't,
the metal. Everyone
he's going around. Like, he's going around. Shit. It's like it's set pre-Toph figuring out metal bending, and so everyone when he tells people he's a metal bender, he's like, "What are you talking about? That's impossible." And then like eventually he shows them, and it's just like, "What do you mean? It's easy."
Okay. A bending challenge. What if there was a Avatar sort of game, but it's set earlier in the before Avatar? So, when all of them are still together and the Fire Nation hasn't attacked yet, and like they're all there are lots of airbenders. There are lots of.
Is this still in the? This is still somewhere in the Avatar cycle, like hundreds of years earlier. Yeah,
and you actually get to see what it was like back then, and there's a few different people going for to be seen as the Avatar because they don't know who the new Avatar is.
I'm gonna give this a slight wrinkle just because I feel like that could be an interesting discussion. An MMORPG.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay.
Because particularly set pre-war, where there is some level of harmony between all the nations, getting to choose your bending style, getting to you've got your starting town, which is going to be in your nation somewhere, but then you get to go off and travel, build your skills, fight fucking, I don't know, evil spirits or people who are trying to, whatever. There's a lot of stories in that world that you could play with.
Yep.
And
one person is selected as an avatar.
I was going to say, and then just in-world event stuff, you never know. You could be the next avatar. And you just get to fucking destroy everyone for a while. But it's permadeath. So every time whoever gets selected as the avatar, when they take them out, someone else. They have to roll a new character. And I mean, I guess it's interesting with the avatar because it doesn't it's not like a Slayer thing. It doesn't get passed on to a living person.
No.
You'd have to roll a new character. So, I mean, I guess that could be interesting, though, if everyone's just constantly rolling new characters because it's permadeath. That's actually an interesting balance because you need to play for a while with one character to be, like, powerful enough to potentially defeat the avatar. Because I think that's got to come with big bonuses too, right? Big rewards.
Mm-hmm.
But it means if that character,
monetary rewards. They turn into coins.
It gets it's Avatar but in Scott Pilgrim world.
Exactly. Ooh, $7.
Which was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
You paying?
I don't know why I'm getting very world boss feel of like the game World Boss that Laser and Fresh released. It was a smaller. We saw it at PAX, not last year, but the year before. Where basically there's people that are like not shooting off against each other. It's not massively multiplayer, but it's still multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm looking,
but
it's like
in a much
14 player.
Yeah, much smaller sort of thing, but it's like someone's at the top, and the challenge is, can you take out the avatar who's taken out the most of other people? And
okay, that could be interesting then. I do vaguely remember that. That's weird. That could be interesting as a smaller round, like a round-based FPS-ish or like third-person brawler kind of thing, where you've obviously got your bending powers and you're using them to take out other people, with the goal being one person gets to be the avatar each round, or you somehow, if you kill the avatar, you're the avatar, or whatever happens. Or it's like
it's Highlander rules. There can only be one. You take their head off, and then you collect their power.
And they're all kids. Like, it's just like Aang was young. The avatars are young when they become the avatar. Yeah, I mean, there's so much you could do with that world and with bending, I suppose. I feel like there have definitely been avatar-based games, but I don't know that any of them have really stood out.
No.
There's a really cool VR game that's got, I think it's mostly around earthbending, but it's really got some interesting mechanics for how that works.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that they haven't made kind of like a, Zelda-level adventure of like an Avatar game.
Avatar
or
is
like that,
strangely underused property, I feel like, for how popular it is and the fact that it got a big budget movie and it's now got a live action remake. Like, I feel like there's not a ton of merch and stuff. There's not like they made a few games for it, but like I think one was like a Game Boy Advance game or whatever, or there haven't been a ton of. There was one third person sort of adventure game, I think, but yeah, it's interesting that I feel like it's
I would love
underutilized,
like a game kind of similar to, I don't know, I'm thinking Skyrim, that you can sort of walk around and do side quests for different people, and you've got like a main quest that you're doing, but the majority of the time you're off doing side quests, and then you're like, we need to get to here so that I can learn, the next bending type, and by the time you get to the end of the game, like you've learned all 4 styles, and you're having to level up 4 different skill trees, and
yeah, that could absolutely work super well as a big budget RPG, like a huge RPG. And again, set it either post Korra, and then you've got more modern stuff, or you set it pre-Aang, so that you're not really, beholden to
you know
the
what would
series.
be fun? Seeing a firebending avatar. Because we know what happens later on, that they become the bad guys, but in these earlier days when they're not the bad guys, like that would actually be fun to see.
Yeah,
a firebender going around and befriending these people.
For sure,
because you know where they get to.
Yeah, I mean, the most we've seen are from air and waterbenders becoming avatars.
Yeah.
You see a bit of Roku, obviously, and what they were like as an avatar, but as the avatar, but you don't get a lot of him. I think you mostly get him when he's older. You see some of his youth because he's friends with whoever the one is that started the war. I can't remember their name, but I think that could be cool.
It could.
So maybe you set it like 2 cycles onwards
before Aang,
or before, it'd be like 5 before Aang. So like the firebender before Roku. Yeah, that'd be cool. Anyway, I think that's enough rambling. Thanks for joining us. If you would like to find all of our episodes online, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. They're all up there for your listening pleasure.
If you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure. And it's awesome. I listened to the album the other day, as I sort of said, and I recommend it.
Give it a go.
Give it a whirl.
So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott, and this has been the Avatar Podcast.
The Avatar Rewatch Podcast, where we rewatch the M. Night Shyamalan movie every week.
Every week.
Please kill us.